Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the show. It's All One Out. I'm your host, Colin Spencer. Today I'm going to be going over updates with the Iran war. That peace sure did last a long time, didn't it? Was anybody shocked? Hmm. No. At this point, I don't think anybody should be shocked. And if you are, I don't know what to tell you. You must not be paying attention. Anyways, we had Trump come out with what everybody knew was a head fake last week on Friday, and it was actually just minutes before the market opened. Like we've been seeing him manipulate it back and forth. That he said that the blockade was going to be lifted, the Strait of Hormuz was wide open, and that sent oil downwards, and that sent the market up. And fun fact, there was like $764 million traded literally just minutes before this announcement. We've been seeing this pattern over and over and over again. Somebody within the White House is getting really, really wealthy. They're getting wealthy off of the inside information. Trump just pumping the market, not even trying to hide it. Honestly, it's because nobody cares. His followers, his supporters, his voters, his legislators, the Republican Party don't hold him to account at all, not even for the slightest things. So we're kind of living in la la land, and so he's playing with our fate here in America, making us enemies to the rest of the world, putting our lives in risk in the future. Like say that we lose a step, or we just are victim of some rogue regime trying to pay us back, even Iran. He's just putting a big target on our backs, and it's all for the sake of his family, his friends, all the wealth. So, anyways, he had said that the strait was wide open, and that wasn't the case. So I've got some updates, got some bullet points tonight we're going to discuss. So let's just jump right into it. Let me pop this open real quick. Okay, going to kind of go over these little by little, maybe discuss them as we do. So Iran had reopened the strait on April 17th. But the U.S., for whatever reason, kept its blockade going. Does that make any sense? Is anybody shocked that we're not making coherent, logical decisions? I'm not. But anyways, the U.S. kept the blockade, and it kind of made Iran a little bit upset. There's actually a video out there, and you can hear the audio clip of Indian ship trying to pass through the strait. And the Iranian Navy warns the ship, "Hey, we're not actually open. Like this strait is still closed, thanks to this blockade over here. This strait, the opening of the strait is not dictated by the tweets of some idiot." It's a real audio clip out there. You can go listen to it for yourself. Remember, whenever we were being embarrassed by Biden on the world stage, that's what the Republicans told us. Biden was that old grandpa that would get lost in the hallway at 3 a.m. and be led gently back to his room. "Come here, grandpa, come here." Whereas you got this guy, Trump, who's outside, nothing but his underwear, just naked, really, standing outside of his neighbor's window with a knife, just screaming into the window. That's the two differences we have in these examples. So Iran was like, "Okay, no, yeah, you want to put up the blockade whenever we were trying to work with you and reopen the strait under our terms and our conditions? Absolutely not. We control the strait, and we're not dictated by the tweets of some idiot." So that was a real audio clip. I encourage you all to go check it out. They fired on that Indian ship. I didn't see what kind of damage was done, or if they even actually struck the ship, but they had given them warning, and then they fired at them. So, it's just been a back forth, back forth, back forth with the strait's open, the strait's not open, the strait's open, the strait's not open, the ceasefire's on, the ceasefire's off, the ceasefire's. It's been a mess. Okay, it's been a miserable mess. Americans are paying for it at the gas pump. Iranians are paying for it with their blood. It's just a mess. All the surrounding Gulf states are having to catch heat for it. It's not, nobody's winning. Nobody's winning the war. I'll tell you this: Iran is able to control the strait, and they're making lots of money. And every single negotiation that the U.S. has tried to, give more seed, more ground, and make it more enticing for the Iranians has involved more cash, more cash, more cash. You still get to enrich you get to have nuclear facilities. You just get them above ground. We'll give you 20 billion for your uranium, and Iran is just over and over again kick rocks. Our uranium is just as sacred as our soil. So it's not been looking good if we're trying to negotiate the peace. The ceasefires have fallen through over and over again. So the markets, like I had mentioned on Friday, they jumped. Oil went down, stocks went up, bonds jumped, yields fell, and the dollar fell sharply on April 17th. And that was the market really kind of pricing into, which I don't. It's all whether nobody should be believing this, and I honestly don't think the market really believes what Trump says. but it's just a massive buying opportunity for all the wealthy. The Americans aren't really making money off of this. And if you are making money off of this trade, that's good on you for being smart. But this is just all a game. This is a game for Wall Street to make a bunch of money. This is a game for Trump and his puppets to make a bunch of money. He gets on there, he manipulates the market, doesn't even try to hide it. Who's holding him accountable? Why would he need to hide it? So, during that brief little period whenever the strait was open under conditions that were controlled heavily by Iran, they shifted the point of the passing through the strait through it used to be through a wider area of the strait, and Iran moved it, the reopening of it, to a pretty narrow part of the strait that they could easily control between two islands, or mainland and one island. So about a dozen ships passed through during the reopening, and they were non-Western vessels. They were not, American ships. They were not American. They weren't EU ships. They were mostly just how it's been going. Iran, excuse me, their allies. So, once again, for anybody out there who thought, because this is like a proxy war in a way between China, U.S., and Russia, whoever thought out there that this is going to be hurting China and Russia and making the U.S. stronger, I'm sorry. I don't know why you would. I'm trying to be nice. I don't know what on earth would make you believe that in the first place with this guy in charge, playing 12D chess. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry that you got let down again. You get the Fell For It Again award. So, the next day on Saturday, April 18th, Iran reimposed tight control and warned the strait would stay shut as long as the U.S. blockade stayed. What are we doing? We tried to reopen the strait. We want the market to trend better, the oil to go down, but we still kept the blockade going. Like, what is wrong with this guy? What is wrong with Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump? This is not even like. This is 12-year-old baby brain kind of thinking, keeping the blockade going. Of course, this is going to happen. And again, that was the main problem that was trying to be solved, and the U.S. is the one, unfortunately, that is perpetuating it. So Iran, I keep on saying that wrong. I got to get that out of my system. Iran decided, you want to be the one that does the blockade. Whenever we're the ones that are trying to negotiate in good faith, okay. Well, let's just show you who's in control of the strait. So once again, the strait's closed back down. 2 merchant ships were hit while trying to cross the strait on April 18th, Saturday. And yeah, I think that one of them was the Indian ship that I mentioned. And it's completely making the ceasefire talks crumble. Once again, we're seeing escalations. We're going in the direction we don't want to go. This is becoming more of a quagmire whenever we just want to be able to be done with this war. The American people want to just be done with this war. Nobody asked for this war. In fact, I think it was like 36% of MAGA approved of invading Iran before we did. But then, of course, just like the cold it shot up to like, I think 89% approval for MAGA for this, for invading Iran, or for, attacking Iran. Like, it's a cult. But anyways. So, Iranian gunboats fired at ships. They gave them warnings, and India summoned the ambassador for Iran, and I guess that they're having discussions about it. They're obviously supposed to be neutral. They're not they're not allies and they're not enemies. But it just goes to show Iran's trying to flex its guns and trying to dictate control over the strait. CENTCOM on April 19th, yesterday, on Sunday, said that it had forced 25 commercial vessels to turn around since the blockade had begun. Once again showing that the U.S. was doing a blockade of the blockade. Not helping. The number is actually up to 27 now. Let's see. And then this was late yesterday. The U.S. seized the Iranian flagship Tuska, and they fired into the engine room. And so once again, we're seeing more escalation, and who knows what come next? This might be once again re-engaging back in war. For sure, the strait is closed. That's at the bare minimum. But you got the U.S. once again firing back on Iran, and then the U.S. seized the ship, and that's what I'd seen a headline about Iran saying that the U.S. was committing piracy. At first, I wondered if like that involved they've been trying to steal other ships and steal their cargo, but they were referring to their own ship that got stolen by the U.S. So it's not good. This is what happens when you have the diplomacy of 12-year-old boy. We're just going to go in there and we're just going to dictate our own terms. You listen to us. We invade you. You do everything we say. And then at the same in the same breath, please help me, EU. Please help me, EU. Oh, they're not helping me. I don't want them, but I don't need the help. They weren't there to help us when we needed them, but we didn't need them. So it's just been a complete mess. There was apparently supposed to be some negotiation talks again in Pakistan with Iran and the U.S. That was supposed to happen first on Sunday, then tomorrow on Tuesday. But Sunday didn't happen for obvious reasons, and then it looks like tomorrow's not going to happen either. And apparently J.D. Vance has been pulled from the discussions. This guy just keeps on taking loss after loss. So this is your next candidate, GOP, like the total wet blanket. The dude does literally nothing right. Everything he touches dies. He goes and sees the Pope before, Pope Francis. The dude dies like the next day. He goes to discuss the peace talks with Iran about a couple weeks ago, and immediately there's just no success. And he comes home after just one day of negotiating, which is, what are you doing? So and then talk about the Pope, getting into it with the Pope. He was like a Catholic practically just yesterday. He converted, and he's telling the Pope to be careful about his theology. So you couldn't make this stuff up. This is just a wild timeline we're living in. It's not shocking anymore. What is shocking, truthfully, though, even though I know it's a cult, like, how do you still, like, how do you not have any dignity to still believe this stuff, to still be a supporter of this stuff? Leftists have been right all along. It really bothers me whenever, these right-winger commentators are getting championed. Oh, Candace is so brave. Alex Jones is so brave. Tucker Carlson is so brave. Look at them speaking out against Trump for like 5 minutes. When every leftist and liberal has been trying to tell y'all, no, this dude, we've been right all along. Told you so. I know I'm being really over the top right now, and this is not the kind of way to talk to somebody if you want to convince them. But at this point, like, if you're MAGA, I don't want to convince you. I don't have any desire to. I don't care to. We don't deal in the same facts. I genuinely view like this kind of ideology as traitors to the country. We completely obliterated our alliances. Our country's just falling apart. We're more divided than we've ever been. I know I'm not helping with that. I'm not going to lie right now. But like, it's like you get to a point where it's like you kind of wish we could do like a national divorce in some way. We cannot participate in a democracy like this. Say you have a leftist or a liberal president come up and say they govern well for the next 8 years. What does that matter if this happens again after 8 years after this? We can't keep doing this. The Republicans have never put up a good president in my lifetime. So my biggest hope is that people wake up. There's always going to be these worm-brained people that truly think this is the right kind of governance. That governance by school shooter mindset is the way to go for America. The Christian Taliban, but there just has to be more common sense voters. We have to outnumber them. So need to make sure we show up to the polls. So, and Pakistan, to their credit, has really been trying to be good faith in these peace negotiations. They deployed 20,000 security personnel in Islamabad for the talks, and it's not even going to happen. So you got to kind of honestly feel bad for them. They're really trying to make this work. It's kind of like that friend watching. It's hard to even call them two friends, but just two people that they know just go at each other and fight, and they're really trying hard to bring them together. But it's just like awkward and it's weird, and none of it's working. And you're the one who's like trying really hard, and nobody else seems to be. So it's just a mess. Let's see. Oh yeah, and we're about to have the ceasefire expire here soon. We've had, I think this is the second 2-week ceasefire. We had a 2-week ceasefire first that expired, and then it got extended another 2 weeks. That's Trump's magical time frame is in 2 weeks. He was supposed to have his healthcare plan in 2 weeks. I think like 10 years ago. His great infrastructure deal in 2 weeks, like 10 years ago as well. Yeah, guys got concepts. Probably just going to get into the 2-week ceasefire. Hopefully, honestly, like just, even though it's just a mess and it's a joke, I'd rather have a ceasefire, but it's either going to be a ceasefire or more escalation. Honestly, the direction it's heading, it looks like more escalation, which is not good. Trump is still trying to go after Obama's coattails with the nuclear peace agreement. Fun fact, he actually had a better deal than the JCPOA. Before we attacked Iran, they came with us in the last round of negotiations before we attacked them, and put everything on the table. No nuclear enrichment, no ballistic missiles, no need for even sanctions. It was the most strict deal, even stricter than JCPOA. It would have been the greatest deal. Trump could have championed that. And he really could have bragged about that. He could have been like, I really do deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, even though I don't think he still would deserve it at that point after everything he's been doing around the world. But regardless, he had a fantastic deal, and he passed it up and attacked with Israel. And it's got to make you wonder, at this point, there shouldn't be any wondering who's in control of him. What does Israel have on him? What kind of pictures, what kind of videos do you think they have? I encourage you to go look up Epstein and his relationship with Ehud Barak. I guess I got to call it my opinion because I don't know for sure, but it's like, how could I not? He's an Israeli asset. Okay, he's an intelligence asset, honeypot blackmailer. Okay, he's got so much on Trump. At this point, Netanyahu does. So if you're still wondering why Trump is doing everything for Israel, and in his first term too, I encourage you to go look up the stuff on his first term as well. Like the annexing of the Golan Heights, moving the embassy to Jerusalem. I'm trying to think. There's even more. Is it the Abraham Accords as well? Just a slew of things that are just so pro-Israel, and like very anti-Palestinian. He just and the hundreds of millions of dollars that he's gotten from the Ellisons, and they called him the first Jewish president, even though he's not, obviously, but that's what they meant, is that he is essentially a Jew, like, for them. And I want to be careful in saying that. I'm quoting what they said. That's not my words, okay? I encourage everyone, it's not the Jewish people's fault. It's not Israeli citizens' fault. It's not the Jewish faith, okay? It's the Israeli government and their interests, and the Ellisons are lobbying for the government interests. So if people tell you you're anti-Semitic for criticizing the Ellisons, or AIPAC, or the Israeli government, you're not. So don't back down whenever somebody's telling you that. That's just the ultimate turn your brain off speech. So let's see. What else we got here? Oh yeah, now Trump is openly just talking about regime change. Every single person, after seeing the Middle East quagmires we've had, has been against regime change. Of course, MAGA still is in love with this guy. Of course, he's still polling sky high amongst MAGA. And the Iran war is still polling sky high. But like, he's coming out here and saying everything that everybody apparently stood against after watching us go to war in Iraq and Afghanistan and just go nowhere with it. Kill civilians, and American soldiers die too. So regime change wars never work out for the U.S. I can't think of a single regime change war that worked out for the U.S. They've all been messes. You replaced the older Khamenei with the younger Khamenei, who's more radicalized because you just watch his entire family get blown up. So regime change wars got to stop. It's so wild. He has no inhibitions remaining. Like, he is frontotemporal dementia or whatever's going on, early Alzheimer's, advanced Alzheimer's, to where there's no inhibitions, there's no brakes in front, just saying it all out loud, regime change war. So that's wild. China is really trying to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. They're working with the Saudi Crown Prince. All the Gulf Arab states are heavily, not right now literally, although they were under physical fire, but Iran is warning them and warning the civilians, you need to get out because we're about to make your place uninhabitable. Talking about there's going to be rising temperatures, like it's very hot, obviously, it's arid, and they have the desalination plants, which some of them have already got hit, but looking to make that a threat to just take them all out and make the place totally uninhabitable. And that's for their alliances with the U.S. and for them having U.S. air bases, which, by the way, not just air bases, military bases. Almost all of them have been destroyed. It's a catastrophe. There's a third party, I forget the name of the company, who does satellite imaging over there, and they were at first requested by the U.S. government to postpone their images, so delay them by a few weeks, and then the U.S. government just asked that they just don't post them. So they're not even posting the satellite images that would show the severe damage of the military bases. Many of them have been rendered totally incapable of being used. That's the military bases were the first were where like one of them was where the first round of Americans got hit and killed. So we used to have military bases over there. The Strait of Hormuz used to be open. It's always been icy with Iran, but we weren't in some kind of just war, conquest, imperialism with them, and now we are. It's just a mess. The strait's closed. Our military bases are gone. So our influence is severely dwindled. The Gulf states don't like us nearly as much now. So just a total mess. The European Union is looking to enact sanctions against Iran now for the Strait of Hormuz. So they're not jumping in militarily, at least not yet. But they are trying to up the pressure on Iran. So they are getting to a severe pain pressure point of how much longer we're going to go with elevated gas prices, how much longer we're going to go with less oil flow. So it's it's really especially hurting the Asian nations. But you're seeing the U.S. is maybe the least affected, other than of course like Iran, Russia, and China, who are thriving off of this problem. But the U.S., we export the most oil in the world. Keyword export, like I said. That's why your gas pump prices are still high, because we are producing just ungodly amounts of oil, but they're going outside of our borders. They're being sold. The oil CEOs are cashing in. You're not. That's how this always goes. Welcome to late stage capitalism that's run by an imperialist warmonger. So, let's see, what else? Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron, they gathered about they gathered representatives from about 50 different countries and discussed potential future Hormuz operations. So it is definitely getting to a choke point, but like quite literally with the strait itself, and then just also in the global economy, it's getting really bad. So the EU is getting desperate and finally thinking about maybe they're going to make some moves later. We'll see. Let's see what else. War risk insurance jumped up 50%. So now that's also going to add on cost to oil. But now you have all these tankers and all the companies that operate them that are suddenly having to pay more, not only just in the terms of a toll for Iran, which is about $2 million per ship is what I'm hearing, but also they're going to have to pay higher insurance because, of course, the things are getting blown up over there. It's not safe. So that's bad. Oil prices jumped between 6 and 7%. Back on today, on Monday, after the escalations have kept on rising and the strait has been once again closed. It's just absolute swings in the oil market and the equity market. It's interesting because you have this sense of a scenario where oil futures seem to indicate that there's going to be a normalizing, and which could certainly be true. And then you also have to wonder how much of it is because you could have the tweet of some idiot completely shift the market and blow you out of your position within minutes. So it's like having to tether between actual reality of issues with the strait and also this idiot will just open up his phone and say whatever. And then, boom, there you go. Your position's cooked. So gas is up still about 40%. It did trickle down a little bit. I don't know if it's jumped straight back up to where it was, but it has shot up again. So again, you're having to pay for it at the pump. Trump don't care. None of these guys care. Pete Hegseth tried to buy a bunch of military defense equities, and there was like an ethics committee that flagged it and kept it from happening. So that was pre-invasion. There's so much insider trading going on. That's insane. Let's see. It's about 30 million barrels of oil are being trapped in the strait per day, is what Reuters estimates. That's an insane amount for daily stacking. So if you look at radar, or like the little trackers where they showed just like all the like triangles that are there showing where the ships are, it's just completely full of ships. These people are normal civilians that are having to sit there, and their ship wasn't like, especially if they were sent off before the invasion, they weren't ready to be there for an extended period of time. They're away from their families. I imagine that their supplies are running low, their food and everything. So it's a total nightmare. We never care about what happens to other people. That's what I've noticed when it comes to, and this is not just under Trump, although it is certainly exacerbated. There's about they tried to Reuters tried to measure out exactly how much oil is missing from the market. And it's about 20 days worth of shipments of oil totally have been removed from the market currently. Let's see. Oh, fertilizer is just skyrocketing. This is maybe the biggest nightmare. That's a bigger nightmare than oil. This is gonna translate to massive food shortages and refugee crisis. If you can't get fertilizer out there to be able to feed your crops, you're going to have a serious problem. And this is something that is not going to happen overnight. So the longer fertilizer prices stay elevated and there's less flow of it, and it's already becoming just uninhabitable by all the war over there in the Middle East. It's going to create a whole bunch of refugees, and they're going to be fleeing to every country, including the United States. So for all my right wingers out there that want strong borders and no illegal immigrants, you're kind of creating a massive problem. So jet fuel, what is it? I'm not seeing it here. I must have forgot to grab that statistic, but I think it was up like 100% last I checked. It's double what it was pre-war, excuse me. Let's see. Spirit Airlines is asking Congress for temporary tax relief. They're really struggling. They're a budget airline. These low budget airlines, it's not just Spirit, really getting hit hard because oil. Like I said, the jet fuel prices are skyrocketing, and they're still trying to have to balance between being a cost friendly carrier. So it's not good. Let's see. The U.S. and Israel has killed 3,375 people now. Civilians. The number of children killed is now up to 383. Can you imagine if Iran did that to us here in the United States, what we would call them? If they bombed our civilians, bombed our little schoolgirls. Like, they would be another 9/11. We would look at them as the most evil beings on the planet, and we would all be shocked, and we would all be desperate for revenge and for justice. This is what we're doing now. So, Lebanon, Israel has killed 2,290 people and displaced 1.4 million. 1.4 million without homes. Talk about a refugee crisis. What is Israel doing? Well, I know what they're doing. They're trying to achieve the Greater Israel Project. They're trying to take a whole bunch of countries to take the land that they claim is rightfully theirs. So, Israel and the United States are the axis of Epstein, is how my boy Kyle Kalinske puts it from Secular Talk. Couldn't be any more accurate. This whole thing is over Epstein. The U.S. is being blackmailed. Donald Trump is being blackmailed, and we're being pulled in to do the dumbest wars that every single U.S. president before him said. No, what are you avoid invade Iran? What are you talking about? So, if you're Bibi Netanyahu, this is the time of your life. So, yeah, civilians are just talking about their economy being in just shattered. That even if the war ends today, there's so many problems that lay ahead of them. We've just ruined people's life. Like you sitting at home, if you're watching this, and especially if you're watching it this far, that means you probably care about politics. So I think you understand. But so many people sitting at home, just we chill in our lives. We've been so disconnected from our like any kind of struggles that go around the world. We don't know what this is like. We couldn't even imagine what it's like. If you try to put yourself in their shoes, then you'd understand. It's like, woof, this should not happen. This should not be happening. This is injustice. So, and then, yeah, so the U.S. has been pulling anti-air artillery from originally in the beginning of the conflict. They pulled a bunch from South Korea. They pulled a bunch from their other Arab state allies, and this really upset all of them because they moved them to Israel to help out Israel whenever it would be retaliated against. We're running low on our arms, on our munitions. We're having to fire $3 to $5 million in rockets just to shoot down $20,000 drones. It's not sustainable. So it's it's a disaster across the board. We try to spend. We're talking about spending $1.5 trillion on our military budget, and we can't even keep steady flow munitions. Where's this money going? No wonder the Pentagon has failed 8 straight audits. So that's all the bullet points I have. This one I was kind of spitting passionately. I'm trying to keep, keep everything, hit all the bullet points at once. But like, it's hard to just sit here and just talk about that like it's a regular news update. This is all a fever dream. What are we doing right now? What are we doing? I don't know. Like, people that thought this was the pro-peace guy, despite 400% increase in drone strikes over Obama, who was called the drone strike president, over the guy that pretended to negotiate peace with Qasem Soleimani, which you can say whatever you want about him, but you try to negotiate peace talks with him and then you kill him, and it worried. Some of the U.S. intel itself was worried it might cause tensions for like a World War III type of scenario. Say what you want about Soleimani. I understand he was the guy, like, he's known for the roadside bombs. Which, by the way, what were we doing in Iraq? That's why he was there. That's why the Iranians were there defending Iraq. They're allies, and they were being illegally, unjustly invaded. So it's like they were just defending themselves. And yes, it's a tragedy. And yes, we had American soldiers die. Which, by the way, blame the people that sent them, and that includes Obama. Blame the people that put them in harm's way. It is the greatest dishonor to send our troops to die in the Middle East like pawns. That should be the stance going forward. We're the real anti-war party, the leftist. Keep our troops out of harm's way. Who hates the troops? The ones that send them there. And that's the same answer. I saw Graham Plattner on this. Whenever he talks about defunding our military budget by a significant amount so that we can actually pay for health care and daycare and feeding people. And then he was pushed back on by the reporter. It's like, well, what do you say to those who view that as you putting our troops in harm's way by not, covering them with a higher military budget and all the weapons? And he said, get them the hell out. Then they won't be in harm's way. What are we doing? So, sorry, I hit the mic. Yep, so I hit all the bullet points. I think that's it for this update video. I earlier put out, the video before I put out Oklahoma candidates. I'm going to be doing a round 2 video with my wife. That'll either be tomorrow night or that'll just be soon this week. So be on the lookout for that. I appreciate you tuning in the channel. If you're a Republican and you are wanting to, you don't like what you're seeing, and you're like, I want to make a difference, call your senators. The senators are not going to listen to me here in Oklahoma. The representatives are not going to listen to me. I call them anyways. But if you call as a Republican and you're like, I vote Republican, I'm a Republican, I voted for Donald Trump, I voted for you, Mr. Langford, I voted for you, Kevin Hearn, I voted for you, Stephanie Bice, I voted for you, Jim Inhofe. I voted, like, if you call them, that will make a difference. I still call them, even though I don't think they listen to a damn thing that I say. But call them. Let them know this is unacceptable. Stand up to him. The reason why they don't is because they rely on their voters, which sadly, it's kind of true, unfortunately, but they rely on their voters just not even giving a damn. Being stuck in identity politics, being stuck in a cult. Being more worried about being on a team. Anti-democrat. Anti-woke. Oh, on the libs. That's what they're relying on. They think that staying with Trump will keep them their job. No, let them know. As long as you choose that position and you have a career in politics, you deserve to be put out of a job. You deserve to be jobless so long as you choose politics and that's your position. You deserve to be paid. You deserve to pay for it, have your feet held to the fire. You serve us. Not some wannabe dictator, not some pedophile protecting warmonger rapist 80-year-old daddy. You serve the American people. So the people got to rise up. We got to impeach this guy. We got to remove him. Whatever it takes to get him out of office legally. Get him out of office. So that'll be it. Thank you for tuning in today. Keep fighting, people. This is Odd One Out.